The Crit Show contains elements of horror, fantasy violence, and adult language. Content warnings can be found in the episode description.
Everybody.
Hi.
Hello.
Welcome back to the Crit Show, where we are playing the Clock Winders, except for Tass, who is furiously texting without his headphones on.
Who are you
Didn't
texting?
think we'd notice, but we
But
did.
we did.
I was sending nudes.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I got him.
Hey, I've
Never
got a
mind. We're good.
notification.
There you go. Okay. Yeah, paid. Your tab is paid. You're off the hook.
All right, thank you.
Last time, Kade and Maxine made their way further into the maze-like halls of the Halogi Forge. By maze-like, I mean very much maze, very much designed to confuse, turn around, and possibly trap people. But they had some smart ideas early on that led them comfortably through all of the rotating and rising and sinking rooms to reach the forges themselves, where they discovered the access chamber to the movement core. Einon got lost in the woods, but on purpose, and found himself in the past or a vision, something not quite real, but a scenario with Ratigan starting to unravel his past. Imparted a little bit of wisdom, learned a little bit, and then, when he felt that he had gained what he needed to gain, once again surrendered himself to the mist to be escorted to where he needs to go next. And I think that is where we're going to resume this week. Einon, you have walked into the forest, into the mists, trusting your instincts. And as you are wandering through this, it's hard to see, you don't hear much, until quite suddenly, a tree just fucking explodes right behind you. And you look back and you see that a gigantic stone like a boulder has torn through it. And when you look back forward, you are looking at a battlefield. You can see humans entrenched in what used to be forest. Some of it remains, much of it does not. Parts of it are on fire. You can see that there is a little bit of like almost an officer's tent set up nearby, trenches dug, and it seems to mostly still be these figures in the robes that you just saw, but hardened. You can see that their attire has changed a little bit. They are somewhat more armed and armored. They are clearly taking up strategic position against an enemy of some sort that is currently on the attack. What do you want to do?
Do I still have this sort of ethereal feeling?
You do.
Okay, then I'm wading in. I mean, I'm literally just walking into the middle of the battlefield and trying to gauge what's happening, who's sort of winning, like what tactics they're employing, and so on. Like just getting that general gauge, but also trying to spot Ratigan.
All right, I think as you are walking around, you hear some of these humans shouting back and forth to each other. You see some of them tending to wounded. You also see some of them tending to trees and animals in the same way, like kneeling over them and like praying over them or paying respects. You hear somebody shouting about a flank coming in from night side and to take cover. You see people repositioning themselves. And among the folks in these trenches, you see that same young woman that you saw Ratigan sketching. Although she is a bit older now. It looks like a few years have passed. She is lying down in one of those trenches, and she seems to be tending to a crossbow.
I think I hop down in there and make myself known. And essence.
Okay. Yeah, you hop down in there and land next to her, and she looks up at you with like kind of a bemused smile. You picked a hell of a time and a place to drop into the woods, my friend.
Yes, I can see that. Who is it coming up?
From what we understand, it's an elven contingent.
Elves, they are very good at what they do.
She nods. She says, I'll say, and she holds up her crossbow, and you can see that the string is split. She is winding a new string to replace on it. She says, one of them split this from a couple 100 yards. One arrow, perfect shot.
I have no doubt whatsoever. Mind if I show you a trick?
Please.
And just from dealing with these sorts of things for so long, I just show her a quick way to like spool it out the right way and then pull it taut and do it very quickly.
She's like nodding and following along. And as you are demoing this, another person kind of throws themselves down into the trench next to her, and it's Radigan. He too looks a few years older. He bears a couple of the scars you recognize on his older face already. And she turns to look at him, and he leans over and gives her a big kiss and looks at you and like kind of furrows his brow again like last time you saw him. He says, you seem familiar. Have we met?
Yes, I believe we have. We've crossed paths very briefly.
Well, you here to help us fight?
It's not what I'm here for, but might as well join along, shan't I?
From what we know, there's an elven contingent coming in from Nightside, and you see another member of this conclave further down the trench who yells over to Radigan and says, they just want the fort. If we just let them go take it, we don't have to deal with this. And Radigan says, they can have the fucking fort, but they're not taking our forest to get it.
What would I know about the history of some of these battles? Like, is this literally just an example of this is a group of Fae that are here, they need some place to be, they're, trying to find land and take strongholds to keep themselves safe? Are these more aggressive types? Like, I don't know any of this, just like any of the nature of some of these skirmishes, I guess, is what I'm curious about.
Yeah, why don't you give me a lore roll? I imagine this is fairly common history. I think you're just trying to beat a 2.
Okay. That is a 3.
Okay. So I think it's unclear right now, like, which battle this is and which fort to which they are referring. And the wars with the Fae, it's just sort of a loop, like who started it, who started any given battle, what was it for? It's all kind of murky, like it just devolved into, well, we're fighting because we fight. I don't like you because you're from there, and you don't like me because I'm from here, and so we kill. In terms of like wanting a fort, though, like that seems to be their motivation according to this other foot soldier. That does sound like, at least in this instance, the Fae forces have like launched an assault on a held position, and that could be for a handful of reasons. It could just be trying to drive humans out of an area that they want for themselves. It could be retributive, because why is there a fort here in the first place unless they were here doing some killing beforehand? Or I think the other thing is one of the places you're going to look for a movement core was a fort back in its heyday. So they could be trying to advance on one of the movement cores for some reason.
Okay. I think I'm considering that and like glancing a little bit up out of the trench and back down to them. I say, my boy, what fort is this exactly?
I think they call it Utrecht. I don't know. Not my circus, not my monkeys.
Right. You lot generally stick to the forests, don't you?
Yeah, and we weren't pleased when they took some of it for their fort, but we don't own the forest. We just look after it.
Absolutely. Utrecht. This contains one of the movement cores, yes?
Oh, I guess. That sounds right.
Is there anything else in this area that concerns you to want to protect this forest in particular?
I don't understand.
Well, there's lots of forest in Cadvini. Is there any particular reason that you feel the need to defend this one, as opposed to giving ground to save yourselves and find another lot of nature to uphold?
Well, because this is the one that they're trying to hurt.
They are trying to hurt it. How so?
He points to that tree that exploded. He says, they'll mow it down on their way to that fort if they have to.
I see. So for resources and just generally not giving a shit to get to what they want.
Evidently.
That's fair.
As you are chatting, you hear a whistle, as if a signal, from generally the direction that other foot soldier was yelling. And Radigan and this young woman both like immediately look over there. And Einon, you see that there is a group of elves breaking through the trees, all armed, some bows, some spears, some sword and shield. They look like they are sort of the vanguard of this fighting force that is trying to like push the back lines here.
Now, you've said this, and I want to make sure that that is clear in my head, that like I'm experiencing this to a degree, but like knowing, like I know in my heart that I'm not actually affecting the future or something with this, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
If you had done nothing, you would have watched these events play out as they already have.
Fair. Well, there's only one way to fully understand what's happening here, and that's to be a part of it. I think I say that out loud, regardless of whether these others are listening to me or not. And I stand up and take a shot at one of these attackers.
Why don't you give me an attack roll with shoot?
Okay. That is a 5.
Okay. Which one are you shooting at?
I think one of the ones with a shield, like one of the ones that's like bulling forward, protecting the others. Like I want to take a kneecap shot kind of thing to try to put them down or hobble them a bit.
All right. This elf got a 3 to defend, so you get a net 2 to inflict upon him.
Okay.
So you hit him with that arrow in the leg, and he very much like stumbles and tries to regain his footing. He is not down, but he is obviously substantially injured. Radigan stands up with just a shillelagh in hand and starts running in their direction. He says, "Savannah, cover me." And she like puts the final touch on that crossbow you helped her restring, loads a bolt, and fires it past him, trying to subdue one of these elves as well. Her bolt flies wide. You see Radigan reach the one with the spear and take a swing and overcommit. And he gets a spear tip plunged through his shoulder. And he lets out a yelp of pain and falls to the ground. Again, he is not like dispatched completely, but the elves seem content to move past him onto bigger threats, and they kind of start to just leave him in the dust, advancing on you and Savannah.
What is her reaction to Radigan going down?
She lets out like a concerned, sort of anguished yelp, but she is immediately reloading. Like she doesn't ditch the fight to rush to his side or anything. It seems like he's not safe until this is over in her mind, so she's like bears down on the fight.
Nice. Don't fret, darling, he'll be all right. They're going to overwhelm this spot if we stay here too long. I'm trying in the moment, too. Like, I'm sure there's just this level of, like, a need to help these people, even though I know that that isn't really a thing. So just in the middle of that, like, adrenaline rush of literally being swarmed, I'm trying to focus on what is the pertinent piece here. Or have I got it already? Like that idea of, okay, I understand where I am now and that this is an important place. And so I'm trying a bit to think about the history of it, of like, what do I know about this fort? Did it get taken by the elves? Is it held by the Fae now? Was it for a while and taken back, etc.? Like there's so many different things that could have happened. I guess I don't recall if the actual player know what we know about this, if we've talked about it yet. Like, I don't know its state at this, like in the present.
Okay. I think what I want you to do is try to overcome with a notice.
Okay.
And I think you're shooting for a 4.
Ooh, okay. That is a 4.
I think that as you are trying to piece this together, the fog kind of starts to thicken a little bit. This whole experience gets a little soupy. You hear somebody from that like officer's tent make the call to fall back, to abandon ship here, to give this place up. You see Radigan's displeasure with that. You see Savannah collect him, and like you see them start to bail, and this forest become overrun by the Fae's attack. And then just in like a gust of wind that blows this mist through, you're in the same place, but all of this is gone. It's old. You are now looking at the remains of this battlefield things are overgrown, covered in moss. But one thing you do notice is the two halves of the bowstring that she had ditched. You can see them just kind of poking up out of the moss on the floor of the trench here.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. I think I dropped to a knee, like picking them up. And I think holding them, I have a few more theories about what I'm looking for, but I just hold these strings tight as I walk again into the forest.
You walk back into the mist and emerge out of it once again in a different place, a different woods. But those halves of a crossbow string are still in your hand. The area you are looking at now is more reminiscent of the first clearing where you found young Radigan. It is a bit of a settlement. There are people about, but you can tell that this is still, for lack of a better term, not out of the woods. Like, there is still a defensiveness to them. There is still a militarism to them, that they are not actively in conflict right now, but that threat is ever looming. And through the open flap of one of these tents, I think you see Radigan and Savannah sitting inside. He is sitting there with like his armor and shirt off, sitting on a cot. You can see the scar from where that spear pierced him. It has healed, but it looks kind of gnarly. And she is handing him some sort of wrapped package.
I'm going to watch.
Are you watching like from a distance? Are you getting closer?
I'm getting close. Yeah, I think I'm getting in here.
Yeah, you approach the front of the tent. You see him open this package, and he pulls out a silk robe and some fine chocolates. And he looks confused. And you can hear her like explaining her rationale to him. That like, you know, she comes from a totally different part of this world than he does, a different culture, and being like stalwart and a good defender doesn't mean that you can't do things that are nice for you too. You know, she is trying to like encourage him to grant himself comforts. And, you know, like you can see that from the tent he's sleeping in, it is Spartan. It just seems like she's trying to impart a philosophy on him of like, it's okay. It's okay to be comfy. It's okay you can both take care of yourself and be the strong protector of this place. And, you know, it just seems like that concept kind of makes him uncomfortable. Like he doesn't know how to take it. He doesn't know how to handle it.
Oh, I love that.
I watch this. I'm not sure. I feel like there's anything else I need to see here. At least not yet. Not in this exact place. Is there like a measure of control of the flow of this? Like, could I stop this moment? Like freeze it?
I don't think you have the means to do that.
Okay. You put some emphasis on me.
He did.
I don't know. I guess this doesn't have to be a secret or anything. Like, if one of these two was going through it, they might have the potential because they've got the potential for ether use in their blood, but you don't.
I got it. I've got it.
So let that maybe reveal something, that there's the tinge of ether to this whole phenomenon.
Interesting. I mean, then I think I just want to watch this play out long enough. I know this sounds silly, but like I want to watch this play out long enough that I feel like I can take like the chocolates or something. Like, again, there's just this instinct that I have of wanting to follow each new thread and make sure that it's going at least generally where I am getting the feeling that it is. So like, yeah, I just want to wait until things have calmed down and like take the chocolates and walk back into the mist.
That's how I leave most things too. Someone just leaves chocolate around, I pick it up and walk into the mist.
Walk into the mist.
Yeah.
All right, you take the chocolates. You wait until you have the opportunity to do so. You take them and you walk back into the mists. And as you reemerge from them, you find that you don't have those on you anymore.
Okay.
And you know that they didn't stay here. You know where those chocolates have ended up. They weren't here to be yours to take.
Interesting. Okay.
But as you come out of the mists again, you are looking at a more densely packed bit of forest. It seems like from your quick observations that it's not far from where you just were, but it's not within that camp. It's somewhere in the surrounding woods. And you are looking at a standoff. On one side is an elf and Savannah. And the elf has a grip around her shoulders and a jagged knife to her throat. And on the other side is Radigan. And it seems like you've come in partway through this. This elf has been crying. You can see. The look on his face is pleading with Radigan. And Savannah looks scared. She looks worried. And Radigan's face is kind of imparsible. He's very stoic. But it seems like this is like a moment of decision for him. What do you want to do?
Do I get the sense of like what I'm watching in this moment is like that quiet moment of like waiting for an answer, waiting for a move to happen? Or are they like having the fight? Are they giving, like if I wait just a moment, am I hearing an ultimatum one way back and forth? Or is this like something is about to happen?
In the quiet, in the penetrating stillness, you listen, and all you are hearing is the ads. It seems like this is like the moment of waiting for an answer. It seems like the elf is waiting for Radigan to say something or to decide something.
Man, I am just completely at war with myself here again. Like, my aspect is I should have been there and next time I will be. But I need to know what I don't know so that I can understand how to move forward. So I think I'm trying to step back from this, knowing that if I throw myself into this, I'm not going to save anybody's life. I know that. At least nobody in this moment. So I think the best I can do is like, whatever is about to happen, I want to experience it as fully as I can to understand what Radigan went through. So I think there's a measure of me like stepping into his shoes and listening and experiencing whatever he's about to answer or do literally with and through him.
Interesting.
And just, kind of mumble to myself, if he had to bear it, so shall I.
Okay. I don't think this gives you like a window into his thoughts.
Sure.
Or anything.
Of course.
But I do think you get like an enhanced perception of the physical. And you can kind of feel like an eyebrow twitching and a hand shaking. And you are right there perceiving it as if it is you trying to quick draw a crossbow pistol.
Ooh.
And being too slow.
Oh.
You watch that as you or Radigan raises this crossbow pistol and fires a small bolt at that elf cuts her throat. And the bolt catches him right in the head. And their bodies hit the ground together. And there is a moment where you think, oh, maybe I can freeze time in this. Because nothing moves. Their bodies don't move. Radigan does not lower his hand. He does not take a step. It's just like he is frozen here in what has just happened.
I think I step out and I can't imagine what he's feeling right now. Or how jarring this would be if it happened in the moment. But I have to understand it. And so I think I put a hand on his shoulder. Radigan, what happened?
You can feel that he's like shaking, whether that's from starting to break down or just the fatigue of keeping this arm held up, just starting to vibrate through his body. And he very slowly turns his head to look at you, and he furrows his brow again. Are you a ghost?
Yes.
He looks over at Savannah's body. Did she make it to the other side?
I believe that we all do.
He finally drops the crossbow pistol and starts walking over towards her.
I go with him.
He kneels down and scoops her up and holds on to her and just starts quietly sobbing and heaving.
I can't do more. I can't take this. And so I do walk over to the body of the elf, and I pull out the bolt, and I hold that tight and walk into the mist.
As you reemerge, you have the bolt in your hands, and you are looking at another very quiet and still vignette. It is Radigan standing over a gravesite. It is not that exact spot, but again, you can tell that it is somewhere in the same woods. It seems isolated. It seems like a secret spot that he found for this. and he is holding his journal and looking down at the grave, and he leans down and sets a page on it, and you recognize it as his sketch.
I put my hand on his shoulder again. How long has it been?
He shakes his head. Not long enough. Never long enough.
No, I'm sure not.
I chose wrong. I did what I thought I was supposed to do. What I thought I had to do. What was my duty. I didn't yield, but a little compassion could have gone a long way.
What happened?
That elf, we found him setting traps. Rudimentary, inhumane. Turned into a fight. I'm not supposed to yield to Fae, and I'm not supposed to let the forest come to harm. But he took her. He got hands on her and spun us a story about breaking off, trying to get away from the fighting. If we let him pass, he'd be out of our hair. But I couldn't.
Because of duty.
He nods.
It's very difficult in the moment to understand compassion, because in many ways you were. Compassion dances along a fence, just like any other concept. In that moment, I'm sure you felt compassion for those you thought you might be protecting in that moment. It's easy to say in hindsight, but it's little different than if you had shown compassion to that elf. What I mean to say is that dwelling on what you've done, that will only drive you mad. The compassion that you need now is for yourself, for those you love and care about. And now you know, in situations like this, should they ever arise again, you have a better understanding of how to employ that compassion for those that you think might or should be an enemy, as told by others. You loved her. She loved you. I'm sure she wouldn't have asked you to do anything differently. And I know that even telling you this right now doesn't even matter. I'm the man that almost got you killed, because I didn't show compassion to someone else. We all try. We try to do what we can and protect those we love, and duty blinds us. I put a hand on his shoulder and give him a nod, and I pick up that page, his drawing, and I walk into the mist.
As you turn to leave, you know that he never heard those words. They just dissipate with you, and you see him picking up a rucksack that appears to contain all of his possessions and just starting to hike as far away from here as he can get. And as you reappear out of the mists, you find that you are back on the path outside of Geth in a clear forest and with that page in hand. Back in the forges, Kade and Maxine, you have climbed down into the movement core chambers where you see that it appears to be inbuilt into a massive anvil. What do you want to do?
How does this one look function-wise? Like, compared to the one in the swamps that was, like, real dirty and, like, things kind of seemed corroded. Like, does this just look like it's shut down, or does it look damaged?
It looks pretty fucked up. It looks the worst of any of the ones you've seen so far. Again, only, like, a little bit of it is currently exposed. You know, like, just, like, the top half of a dome's worth coming out of this anvil. But even that, like, it's gummy and dirty, and it seems like parts are misaligned. Like, it looks pretty gnarly.
I step forward a little bit. Oh, no. Arkady, this doesn't look good.
No, it looks like all warped and stuff.
How are we going to fix this?
Well, I mean, first I think we got to figure out what exactly each part is. Never mind. I thought I didn't recognize these, but that one's so warped out of shape, I thought it was something else.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's start maybe brushing some of this stuff away and figuring out what's even here.
Yeah. I mean, with those metal parts, the good news is at least we got 2 big forges we can use.
I don't know how to use forges.
Now's an important decision.
Do you think they teach metalworking for Clockwinder, since so much of it is like gears and cogs and stuff?
I bet, like, some of them.
Yeah.
I'll bet it's like an elective.
So yeah,
a major.
I bet I do know, actually.
Okay.
That would be silly. I can fix it, but unless the piece needs fixed, then I can't fix it.
I think there's also something to be said about, like, the kind of forging, like, you'd be taught on as an elective in school, and these giant, massive, like, this entire place is structurally built to do this. It's, like, on a way more of an industrial scale.
Oh, I don't think the size of the forge matters. Like, it still serves the same purpose of being a...
It's how you use it.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of like the steps would be similar, but
Yeah.
it's just a lot more difficult because the scale, everything's scaled up, and like figuring out how this place is set up to work.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I support this either way. I could definitely see a reality where you knew how to work on all this shit, but not how to make it.
Yeah.
'Cause that seems like, like most mechanics probably couldn't make you a new part from scratch, but they know what's wrong with it and they can repair it
Like,
and
shape
shit.
it, yeah.
So,
Yeah, like, I don't think I could make any of these parts from scratch.
but you can fix them.
Maybe.
Maybe.
With a good roll.
Yeah, we're going to find out.
Yeah.
The dice will tell us.
Yeah.
Okay. Maxine, why don't you roll to overcome with investigate? And on this one, I think we're trying to beat a 3.
I know that in the past, these, like, I noticed you just shifted that to a 3. That got me nervous that it's a 3 now instead of a 2. Do the movement cores look the same, use the same pieces? I know we talked a little bit about, like how much of this is familiar to her versus what's new?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the movement cores are not all identical. You guys know that so far. Like,
yeah.
for one, I mean, they're in different places. You know that they've had extras. Like each of them has done kind of like an extra thing
Yeah.
so far. Each movement core is unique. Each movement core, they are not going to be identical to each other. I'd say this is kind of like being a mechanic, and like you recognize a lot about how most cars work and shit, but like you'd have to be a BMW mechanic to know like some of the specific shit about BMWs. It's kind of like that. Like, I don't know, maybe like 70% overlap, 30% unique stuff.
Yeah.
And that's probably not true precisely
Sure.
for all of them, but like, yeah, a good amount of this is the same. You're going to see lots of the same parts and the same functions because, all these movement cores are at least doing one thing the same, which is locking the rotation of the planet.
Yeah.
But then they're all doing something extra. That's where the variability comes in.
So that increase comes from, again, maybe that percentage isn't exactly right, but it comes from that other 30% that this is more complicated than the one that we saw that like cleared the water off the tracks or
Yeah. And
powered
just
tracks.
like, I think that how it's damaged might determine how hard it is to figure out too.
Yeah.
Like, for the first couple, it was like, oh yeah, it's a little bit dingy and the ether quartz is gone. But if it's like, oh man, what's wrong is like a warped part way down in here. There's a oil leak under the air intake manifold and we got to take the transmission out to get to it or whatever. Like, just that might make it harder to determine.
Okay.
So yeah, this one being 1, mega busted up, and 2, as you'll find as you're investigating, has some function you don't recognize. I think this one's harder than the previous ones.
That's a 3.
Okay, that is a tie. Do you want to spin anything to bump it?
Absolutely. Oh, could I invoke the runs like clockwork free invoke that we have left? That like everything up to this point has been like very obviously working as intended. That like this is such a different area.
I don't think so because that was tied so specifically to the shifting rooms.
Yeah, that's fair. I was just bullshitting anyway.
Yeah,
okay.
I can help if you would
Oh,
like.
sure.
Talking about that, whatever, 70% that's kind of the same, even if it's warped or missing or whatever, like I notice what's out of place. It's like, oh, there should be something gapping that there. And
Okay, that will bump you to the full success. So yes, you are able to determine what exactly is wrong with this thing. You get this more opened up, like the ones you have encountered so far. There's more housing to this. There's more casing to this than just what you are seeing on the surface of this anvil. So you are able to determine how to, it actually kind of like part of it, there's a movie I'm trying to think of. Part of it kind of like rises up like a cylinder, just so that you can access more of the mechanism. It like rises up out of the anvil. What am I picturing where something comes up and they got to mess with it and then like gingerly put it back down?
I know exactly what you're talking
Yeah,
about
same.
too.
Are you thinking like it's like a black cylinder, like it's shiny black metal?
There's two things I'm thinking of. Either the stuff that the weapon is stored in the rock.
That's not quite it, but that was the other thing my brain was latching onto.
Or the Omega-13 in Galaxy Quest, where it like rises up and then they.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think it's the Omega 13 that I'm thinking of. Okay, so yeah, but you get this section of it to rise up. You can see, like, again, more of the extent of this damage. And as always, this is not all of it, but, there's a lot that runs down into the planet and shit. Kade, you gain access to the parts that you need to fix. Give me for you, a burglary roll, overcoming a 3 difficulty on this one as well.
Okay. 7.
Okay, so that is with style. You will gain a boost. I think you do determine that, yes, some of these parts need, like, reshaped, reforged, repaired. You are able to collect those and head back up where that salamander is still waiting on the other side, sort of like idly. He can't pace. He doesn't have feet. What is pacing to a snake?
Patrolling.
In like a figure 8, so it's kind of like pacing.
Oh, that's good.
But these forges are not currently, like, operational, but you got your boy here. You know that the salamanders are one of the core components in utilizing them.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at him and like point to the forge and hold one of the pieces and like pantomime a hammer.
Just hold them out in front of him like, please, sir, my son, he's very sick.
Dust my wets.
Please, sir, my wets.
Why don't you roll to overcome with rapport? I don't think this is super hard. Like, he's on your side. It's just getting him to understand. I think this, again, is like I think you're just trying to beat a 0.
Okay. How bad are my charade skills?
Yeah.
0.
Oh, man.
I mean, is there anything you could spend? Do you want to invoke anything? Otherwise, you'll either get it at a minor cost or a lesser version.
I could maybe help.
Probably.
Could I go with slow to trust? Like, I didn't really know where this was going to go when we got here, but like going through all of these rooms, and then especially when that salamander like put his spear in that one hole and disarmed the trap in that one room. It's like, okay, you have either guided us through or straight out helped us. Like, I believe that we can trust you to like not just leave it to the professionals. You are one of the professionals.
How does this help him communicate what he needs to the salamander?
I help him communicate because I trust the salamander. I help with the charades.
Keep talking.
I don't think you've got me.
Damn it.
I don't think you've sold me.
Can I go with Einon inspires me to persevere? He's not here and I'm worried.
I keep talking. Maybe.
I'm trying to get this done quick so we can figure out what happened to him and get the core fixed. And
What
when
else?
when we find Einon, we can tell him, look, aren't you proud of us? We did it.
What other aspects do you have, and how might they apply?
Leave it to the professionals. The salamander's a professional forge worker.
Clockwinder legacy. Like, he knows why you're here.
Yeah, I'll explain to him that I'm a legacy, and that'll impress him.
You're right. That's the bad idea.
I like how dismissive you are of the one that has
I didn't know.
demonstrably been utilized.
I don't know how that works. I'm trusting that you think it's good.
All right, spend a fate point.
Get out of my face.
One of those
Spend a fate
worked.
point. I don't care which one. All right, that'll bump you up to the success. So you pantomime, he hisses. You pantomime, he hisses.
Can I work out what some of these hisses mean as we go through this process?
Trying to translate.
Yeah.
Fucking, I don't know. give me roll lore.
We've broken Jake
Roll-
so fast in the last couple of minutes.
Roll lore, and if I like the number, then you speak.
You roll my favorite
Not
number.
even that it's high, but there's not a number that
If
I
I
like.
like it, you speak salamander.
4?
Yeah.
Four's good. I like
Yeah,
4.
4's a great number.
Oh my god. Pick a number between -4 and 8. And if it hits that number, you get it.
It's great.
I like it.
Yeah, you are able to like sort of interpret the hisses that he is. It seems like he's trying to impress upon you that like normally there would be more of them to power one of these. Like this might be a little bit underpowered. He's like, I can't honestly say that I have done this for a human. Like this place has been shut down as long as he's been around. So But, he's kind of like,
I just sense that he's like,
yeah, like, all right, I'll try, but I'm also winging it here. But he crosses the catwalk to the plinth and then follows the catwalk that leads off to the back beyond the forges. And you just kind of lose sight of him. It's not particularly lit over there. It's just the glow of the lava. So you lose sight of him in the shadows. But then you see the forge on your left like catch and the fire within sort of intensify. It seems like he has gone somewhere to like be the battery, to take his post where he can power this forge for you.
okay, I'm going to try to repair these pieces real quick while the forge is hot.
Okay, yep, you are able to do so. It takes a little bit of time, a little bit of elbow grease, but you are able to knock these things back into place, to burn off the gunk, just to get these things back in good working order, and to take them back down and reinstall them. And as you do, as you install the last of these pieces, you get this movement core set back into place. You feel that sort of ethereal, magical hum around you as like some things come back to life that were really sluggish before. And on the wall behind the anvil, a series of panels like flip and rotate into place, like among just the pipes and the mechanisms on the wall. It's sort of like a mechanical number counter where, like there's the flip, 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 flip.
Oh, huh.
But also like the maze of rooms you had to go through. They are not just flipping in one orientation. They are like sliding down a line and rotating into place to show you a world map. And on this world map are 6 lights that seem to indicate the positions of the 6 known movement cores.
Oh,
What is this?
it's a map of the world.
Well, this is new.
Yeah. Are there any, it's like we have the lit ones. Are there any in the dark areas, like that the bulbs aren't on, or?
There are not. So what you are looking at is a bulb where the Dawn Palace is, and it is illuminated green. A bulb where the swamp is, illuminated green. A bulb marking this location, illuminated green. One marking where you know Fort Utrecht to be, which is illuminated yellow. One where you know Carcadia Freehold to be, which is illuminated red. And then the one in the Cloudgate Mountains vicinity is not illuminated. But it seems like this device is not inherent to the movement core. Like you noticed at the last one you were investigating deeply, you could tell like the eras of modifications.
Mm-hmm.
This seems like a Clockwinder mod. And so it is tracking the ones that they are aware of and used to service.
Are these, like could I take out one of the bulbs? Do they come out?
Sure.
I want to swap one that I know is working with the dark one, just to make sure it's not a burnt out bulb, but to say like, oh, this isn't getting any power for some reason.
Yeah, you make that swap, and the bulb that takes its place also doesn't illuminate.
Okay.
God damn, it would have been hilarious if that was the problem. Just at the end of the game, I just reveal to you guys, oh yeah, that one was just a burnout bulb, idiots.
Listen, you got to check.
Yeah, no, smart. But yes, as you swap them, the one you put back on the Cloudgate Mountains does not illuminate, and the one you put in, I don't know, whichever one you swap, the one with Carcadia,
Yeah.
it does illuminate and it turns red.
I don't understand. What do these colors mean?
Well, I think green is good. Those are the ones that we fixed.
So it works then. You did it.
Thanks. Well, I mean, we did it.
Okay, we're close. We're close then.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't like the look to that one that's not lit up at all. Like, does that mean it's just... Because I would assume red would be the worst. But, I mean, not turning on at all is probably maybe the worst.
Well, maybe it has to do with getting any sort of power. The one at the Dawn Palace had some function, but it wasn't properly working because the ether quartz was damaged, and maybe that's what yellow means. So maybe if we go to the fort, it'll be something that just needs kind of a quick repair, and maybe red is like significant damage, and maybe the cloud gate is bad, like really bad.
Yeah, like not moving at all kind of thing.
Oh, that makes sense, actually, Kade. If it's not moving at all, it's probably leaking the most ether.
Oh, and not sending a signal. Like if it doesn't have that power, coming out. Because if these are, in fact, well, clearly they're connected somehow.
Yeah, and there's such a high concentration of Fae there that it makes sense that they would want to be kind of where there's a lot of ether.
Yeah. Which was the one on the map that was like a meh here-ish when they were telling us in the beginning?
Cloudgate.
Okay. I just want to, from this map, I want to, onto our map, try to make a more precise location.
Accurate. Nice.
Yeah, I think you can get a little more precise. It's sort of a problem of scale on this
Yeah.
one. Like, you know, the bulb is just like a large portion. It's like the size of a city on the map.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, okay, the one in this area is good or bad. But yeah, I think this specifies a little bit for you.
Yeah.
Where in the mountains you're looking.
Zooms in the area like once or twice.
Maybe.
Well, this is incredible. Okay. Is there anything else here that we need to be looking for? Anything that might give us an indication of what the movement cores were originally used for?
Yeah. Now that this is all working, I am going to take a moment and go back inside of it all and try to like study the parts that are the pieces that are different to see like, okay, is there any indication of what this might have done, or at least, you know, I don't know if this is I'm creating advantages for the future when I had seen them all, or if this is an understanding things now, or I don't know. Obviously, an advantage wouldn't hold that long, but does that make sense? Like,
I mean, an advantage could, because it's just an aspect. It's just a truth about something. But I don't know that there's anything new to discover here.
Okay.
Beyond what you like dug into on the last one that you really dug into.
Yeah.
You know, this seems to be part of that same system. It seems to have that same, like, you could tell that there was an original function to these and it has been co-opted. So last time, I think we talked about, like, if you want new information, you're probably going to need to look for one of the ones that's off grid.
Yes.
Right? I don't know that you can glean anything new about, like, the function from this one that you couldn't from the old one.
Yeah. Could I, because before we were like, oh, we discovered that there are more of them. They're, you know, sunward and their night side. Now that I'm at this one and I know, like, okay, there are absolutely 5 other feeds that are coming into this place because they're feeding that map. Could I pick out some of those other feeds and maybe start using those to, like, triangulate where one might be?
Let me make you a pitch.
Yeah.
'Cause I think yes. Like, you know, now that having at least 2 points, you've got the beginnings of a triangulation or whatever. I think the more you have, the better your odds.
Yeah.
And, you know, like when we create this advantage, what it would ultimately be called in for is, I'm looking for one that's off the map.
Yeah.
How about this? The more cores you find before you try this, the more I'll lower the difficulty.
Yeah.
So, like, you could try this now if you wanted to get the jump on it, but it's still going to be relatively hard because you're working off 2 points. A third if you went back and looked at the swamp again, because I don't think you really had that in mind at the time.
No, I didn't.
But, like, if you take the time to look at all of these with this in mind, I'll just keep, like, ticking down that difficulty for each one you have in your pocket.
Okay.
Okay, so then holding off on the creating an advantage for now, or going for it?
Oh, I am gonna go for it because I don't think Kade could stop himself trying to figure it out. You know what I mean? Like, the player, I'm like, I should probably wait, but Kade would be like, oh my gosh.
What about with the knowledge you have that if I had a little bit more information, I could probably figure this out easier, and there's another one of these super close that is not in the worst condition
Yeah.
of all of the other ones.
We are gonna go to the fort next because it's close by.
Yeah.
Okay, I can wait.
Okay, and because I'll add this on too as a demotivator.
Yeah.
On the off chance that it was like a minor cost or a lesser version,
Yeah.
you might draw useful but not correct information.
Yeah.
And that would, you know, like, you might be like, all right, I got it. And then you guys go and you're like, I'm 10 kilometers off in the
Yeah.
desert or some shit like that.
Yeah, that's fair. There is a third one that we're, like, headed to post haste, so
Okay. We'll hold off on that. Put a
Okay.
pin in that.
I'm gonna make myself a second tally mark then.
Okay. Anything else we're trying to do down here in the guts of the core?
Just clean up a little bit, make it look kind of nice.
All right, you dust.
Yeah, I
straighten.
scrape up the gum.
You get this squared away. You get record of the conditions and locations, any new info off this map, and you ascend the ladder back out into the Halogi Forge halls, where you find that this salamander has returned back to the front He has crossed back over. The forge is no longer powered, and he is waiting for you.
Yeah, go up to him and just give him a big smile. Say, thank you so much for your help. We definitely couldn't have done this without you.
Yep, he hisses in the "you're welcome" style, which Kade speaks now.
Now, partway through, we walked in here and he's like, I have no idea what you're saying. And partway through, he's like, no, I get it.
Yeah, you picked up on it. It's an immersion program.
Yeah.
Nice.
With the salamander's assistance, you all backtrack back through the fucking puzzle rooms.
Is it any easier on the way out?
It's not.
Oh, no.
No, yeah, it is of equal difficulty. No, it's like a Skyrim dungeon where there's just one staircase. From this side, there's a staircase up to just an exit.
Yeah.
Directly out.
And you just jump down.
Yep, you just hop down, but there was no way to hop up there, so what a pain in the ass. It's like, why'd they build it that way?
There's a rock that's a door, but it hinges and it only hinges out.
Yeah. You step on the warp pad and you reappear at the front.
Nice.
And that is where we will leave it off.
With teleportation introduced into the world.
Introduced offhandedly. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for another episode of The Crit Show. If you are interested in more information about the Clockwinders as a setting, it's very dope, in case you haven't noticed that yet. Or Fate as a system. You can find that information in the episode description. If you want to engage with more of the things that we have made, we have a Patreon. That is patreon.com/thecritshow. We have many hours worth of things on there, and all different formats. We've got lots of audio stuff if you're looking for more of that. We got video content. We've got stuff we've designed and put out.
Games we've written.
Yeah.
Games we've
and
written.
all different flavors.
All different flavors.
Like
Strawberry.
You want something creepy with Jake as a living doll, or you want something funny, or
With Jake as a living doll.
a lot of Jake as a living doll.
He's
stuff.
got really one trick that he likes to throw out
Yeah,
there.
it's all living dolls all the way down. But anyway, if you subscribe at the Patreon, you can get your name read at the end of an episode, just like Nicholas Reese. Thank you very much. Tass is kind of pointing at me like there's something he wants to say.
Nope, just my fidget toy
Just
happens to
threatening
be
me.
pointing that way.
It looks like a shiv. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us for another episode. Tune in next time for more Clockwinder adventures. Everybody say bye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Hiss.
The Crit Show is a Crit Show Studios production, edited and produced by Brandon Wentz, with music by Jake Purley. You can find more information about us at thecritshowpodcast.com. To keep up to date with upcoming live shows, contests, and other special events, follow us at The Crit Show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. For even more weekly content, join us at patreon.com/thecritShow.